Hey, it's Ashley Sabalis, and I'm a realtor here at Premier Properties in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And I'm doing a video today about my experience becoming a realtor. I get asked all the time if I love it, how did I get into it, how did I decide that this was what I wanted to do. So that's kind of what I'm going to go over today. And I can definitely say that real estate is something that's always appealed to me. Having that freedom of a schedule, making your own schedule, working when you want to work, especially when you have kids. I have two, so being able to make functions, games, things like that is extremely important to me. And working in retail, which I did for 4 years at Verizon, was just not what I wanted. I missed too many things working in that kind of environment where you have to be there at certain times. You sometimes get stuck with holiday hours, working till 9 or even later, sometimes at night. So that, for me and my family, was not ideal. So I decided to take the real estate class. I took it here in town in Jacksonville. It was an 8-week class. I did try to do the night class, nights and weekends. Unfortunately, the first time I took it, I did not pass. I passed the class, but the final exam I did fail. So that was discouraging. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. And taking it at night and on the weekend, it was kind of draining. And by the time I would actually get to class, I was exhausted. And it's hard to pay attention, it's hard to focus, it's hard to retain all that information. So when I failed, like I said, I got discouraged, but I did end up taking the class again. This time around, I did take the day class, and the day class worked a lot better for me. Luckily, working at Verizon at the time, I was able to kind of be in control of my schedule. If there were shifts that I needed to be covered so I could take the class, I was easily able to switch with somebody, or it was just a lot easier. So the second time I took it, I passed with like a 96, so I did a lot better than the first go round. It also made a lot more sense the second time. Hearing all that information twice kind of sunk in, and I retained it. And going through the class the first time and then hearing it for the second time, things that in the beginning and end that didn't click started clicking. So taking it twice was definitely what I needed to do to hear the information. Being 23 years old and not knowing anything about real estate other than what I saw on HGTV, which is completely unrealistic. It was just hard, all those terms and things that people who've gone through the process of buying a home would understand, I didn't. So that was really good for me to take it the second time. As soon as I passed that class, I went straight like the next week and took the actual licensing class, which I took in Wilmington. Passed my state and national the very first time, which is extremely rare. A lot of people do have to take that real estate licensing test multiple times to pass. So I was very fortunate to pass my first time. But after that, I was excited. I had my license and I was ready to start selling real estate, but I didn't have any experience. In the class, you don't really learn real life situations, and they can't prepare you for the real world in class. It's a lot of just laws and terminology, things like that. So everything that actually goes on in class, you forget it when you get your actual license, because you're not going to use any of it. And in real estate, everything is constantly changing. There's no two transactions that are the same. So once I got my license, I did start with a big company, a company that had franchise fees, desk fees, fees. I think my first office bill, my first month, was like $300. And of course, my first month in real estate, not knowing anything of how to get a client, how to sell a house, how to talk to a seller, I wasn't making any money. But fortunately, I was able to keep my full-time job at Verizon and have that income so I could start my real estate career. So what I did was I worked at Verizon for 6 months, full-time still, and kind of did real estate on the side. Now, it wasn't until probably maybe 3 or 4 months after getting my license that I actually decided to switch companies. I stayed with that first company that was the big name for like 3 months, and I was paying more money than I was making. I was actually not making any money. I hadn't made a dime. I didn't do any rentals. I didn't do any sales. So my savings account was depleting, trying to pay for real estate and all your dues and things like that it takes to start up getting your license, which overall was probably anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000. So I'm working at Verizon. I'm, still trying to figure out how to do this real estate thing. Eventually, I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to stick to Verizon, where I have a steady income coming in, and I'm not going to have to worry about all of this money and being an independent contractor and stressing about, am I going to have a paycheck next month? Like I said before, I have 2 kids. So now this time I did have 1. But the best decision I made was to go hang my license at a smaller company. That company provided leads. That company provided one-on-one training. That company provided just a huge bucket of resources that I learned so much. Like I said, the one-on-one training was the best thing. I could walk into my sales manager's office at any time and ask a question. I could follow people around. I learned a lot. They had a lot of training classes throughout the week that I could attend right there at the office. Whereas the other company had you go to Wilmington to take classes, which is like an hour away. So that's not ideal for my schedule, my lifestyle. So going to that company was the best decision I made. So after that, I started making money. I started getting business. I was doing rentals. A lot of rentals. I think my first year in real estate, I closed maybe like 30 or 40 rentals my first year, and I had 13 transactions, sold just under $2 million. So that was a huge accomplishment for me. And then my second year of real estate, I had dropped Verizon completely at this time because I had enough money coming in and enough money set aside that I was comfortable dropping my full-time job. So that's what I did. Dropped Verizon, took real estate by the horns, full blast. And now I'm going into my 3rd year of real estate, and I can say that it was the best decision I ever made. It was not an easy transition. It was not, an easy beginning, but it worked out for me. And you have to be somebody that has self-motivation to wake up in the morning and know that you don't have to go to work, but you need to go to work. You have to have that motivation that, next month's paycheck is not promised. You have to go out there and get it. And if you're not that kind of person that has that self-motivation, knowing that you don't have to be at the office to clock in and clock out and be here from this time to that time, real estate might not be for you. But if you are, and you want to be in control of how much money you make and how much money goes into your pocket, real estate is a great option. It's definitely, I make a lot more money now than I did working at Verizon and retail sales. I make a lot more money than I made as a assistant head teller at a bank. So for me, I love it. Like I said, the flexibility and being able to do whatever I want. If my kids have something going on, I can drop it and go and be there, 99% of the time. So that's probably the biggest thing I love about real estate is just that freedom of my schedule and being able to do pretty much anything I want to do. Go on vacation, I don't have to worry about PTO time. There's just so many benefits. But for me, like I said, real estate was a great decision. And if it's something that you're thinking about doing and you want more information, you can definitely reach out to me. I think that I've got enough knowledge now going through the steps and how I went about it to help. So reach out to me on Facebook, reach out to me. You can give me a call, doesn't matter. But if you have any other questions about my real estate journey, like I said, I'm going into my 3rd year now. This past year, I did sell just under $2.5 million. So next year I'm shooting for 5. So yeah, 2019 is going to be a great year, and let me know if that's something that you're interested in talking about. And Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.